So you want to tell if your golf cart is charging. You've got your cart, you've got your charger. Well, here's how we're going to figure out, is it actually charging? We've done previous videos on energy gauges reading incorrectly, and we've also talked about switching the tow and run switch off when you're charging. But let's say switch him off and we'll test if he's charging. So we'll remove this seat. Now on 90% of golf carts the seat just lifts off because they're just little tongue and groove, they're not a hinge. So if you're not accustomed to working on your cart, they just stand up, lift straight up, and they'll come off, sit on the side. As I said, switch him to tow if you have a club car, an E-Z-GO, a Yamaha. They've all got a tow switch somewhere depending on year models. And I'm using a Delta Q charger with a Yamaha 17 model. So plugging the receptacle in, just there. These guys only go in one way, and running a cord out to your charger. Now there's two things you need to do to test exactly if your cart is charging when plugged in, and that is, firstly, find your main positive and main negative terminals on your batteries. Now the way to find that is the main negative and main positive will be the ones attached to the cart, not to other batteries. Now on Yamaha they give you diagrams, but let's just say you don't have that and you want to figure out which one is the main positive and which one is the main negative. As I said, they're the only ones that do not connect to other batteries. So just pick a terminal, follow it, that goes to a battery, so that's not it. That one to a battery, that one to a battery, and so on. This one, then this one, it disappears. That is a negative terminal, so that's your main negative. This one here, it disappears out the back of the cart, and it is a positive. Way to tell, generally they're coloured, but don't take that as gospel, just in case. But there it says pos, and there it says neg. You can see just under there. They also might have a plus or minus next to them. So that's our main positive, that's our main negative. The one tool you will need to do this is a cheap multimeter. If you're not used to working on your carts yourself, this is the one tool you're going to need if you have golf cart issues. You're testing voltage, you'll need to put it onto volts. Now a lot of them vary slightly, but that there is volts on mine. And then all you're going to do is test your main negative, your main positive and your main negative for their resting voltage. So while you test for resting voltage, and by resting I mean it hasn't just come off the charger, let's say it's been sitting overnight, and you're testing the voltage after about 24 hours of just the batteries, and there we have 51.7 or 0.8. Now a 48 volt cart should never read 48 volts. If it reads anything under about 51ish, they're actually flat or low. Each battery on its own, and I'll just test that quickly, should be about 8.5 or 6. These are 8.63. These are actually quite new batteries, and so 8.63 times 6, there's 6 in this arrangement, will give you your 51 point, that's 87. There you go, we're back to what we started with. Now at this point you've got a baseline, write it down if you need to, and we're going to plug in the charger. So I'm using a Delta Q, and I guess the way to tell if a Delta Q is working is your LEDs here. One thing I'll do first is unplug it, and I'll power it up, and if you see only one light will stay on, this one here, there's nothing else going on, and a flashing light there. Now that's pretty much tell you it ain't plugged in. So the charger itself is reading correctly. So plug him in. And then you'll see you're going to have LEDs here. You're always going to have two. and you'll see the LEDs here, and this guy's rushing right to the top, and that's just amps. We need to be checking the voltage to see if it's actually charging. With the charger connected, we're now going to check what it's reading, and if you see, that's at 56.6. so it's definitely getting some voltage to those batteries. Now the charge receptacle on the Yamaha is these two wires running up here and to the batteries there and there. So if you're not getting any voltage there, you have either charger issue, receptacle issue, or wires leading to these terminals. First place I would start is these terminals. They do corrode. That yellow substance you can see is just a protectant to keep them in decent condition, so they're still charging as they should. Now don't just leave it at, yep, it's receiving voltage. Walk away for 10 minutes, come back, check it again, maybe even do it a third time to make sure they're still climbing, or that your charger has finished charging and they are now charged. But that is the way, with one simple tool, a multimeter, you can actually check, is my golf cart charging, or do I have an issue elsewhere? And for more golf cart repairs, don't forget, hit the subscribe and stick around to fix it yourself on YouTube.